Hey, it's Mel. So, for today's screencasting tip, I wanted to address a question that came up regarding how to simulate a whiteboard. Here's a question that came up. Great post. This gentleman was looking for an application that would let him simulate writing on a whiteboard as if it were in front of a group or on a sheet of paper as if he was teaching an individual student and so on. So I wanted to address that because it is something I've done before, like when I did this presentation previously. Typically what you might find is a PowerPoint presentation and I'll turn it into something that I can write on. As you can see, I'm annotating my PowerPoint just as I go along. And for you that have done presentations or your speakers and so on, you know that this is not uncommon for a PowerPoint presentation. It is definitely something you can do. As you can see, I'm writing and making annotations, but it's also embedded or integrated with the PowerPoint presentation itself. Here we're identifying this line obviously as the total cost line. Okay, and then we go on to the next slide, and then it populates in the pre-canned version of that. But anyway, the idea is that you can write on your slides. So I want to go ahead and simulate that and show that to you here. And basically, the way I've done that before is if you go into your PowerPoint presentation, it becomes very easy, right? So here's a PowerPoint that I've created. It's a copy of that very same one. If you go into slideshow mode, here you are, down in the lower left corner. A lot of times forget that there is this pen options feature down here, and you can even change the colors of the pen and so forth. So if I were to say, let's just make it a standard black issue pen here, we'll just go to the pen. So this we identified previously as the fixed cost line. Okay, fixed cost. All right, and then we go on to the next line, to the next slide, and as you can see, that's how I'm moving along. So this we said was going to be the total cost. Obviously, for some of you that know accounting will recognize this from your managerial cost accounting class, and I had actually adopted that model just as an aside, adopted that model for something I was doing just to show break-even points for social media value and so on. But I won't go into that whole presentation, but the point is you can make you can write on your presentations using, and there's an on there obviously, right, using the pen feature, all right, in PowerPoint. All right, so that's definitely one way that you can simulate that. And let's say for grins and giggles, we want to take this whole presentation, and rather than using the PowerPoint, I might want just a white slate, a whiteboard. All right, so what you can actually do is in your PowerPoint, just go ahead and take one of the slides that you've already gotten, and maybe what you want to do is actually just duplicate that slide. All right, so we'll duplicate it. There we are. And I've got my my axes there. So now maybe instead of annotating on a slide, I want to work on it in such a way that I'm just going to go ahead and draw those lines myself, because maybe what I'm doing is making a point to my audience about the fixed line, the fixed cost, and then how that fixed cost, let's say, translates into a total cost line by discussing some of the different concepts of incremental cost increases along each point along the x-axis, and then you have the total cost line, right? Okay, I know. Total too much information there, but the point being, it becomes a very easy thing for you to just simply embed a blank slide, and any of those slides now would be something that you can write on. The other tool I like to use is something called Ultimate Pen. Actually gives you a little bit more better line control. So here's as you can see, it's called Ultimate Pen. Ultimate Pen. It is a Mac-based product. It's Mac-based, and if I make errors along the way, it becomes very easy to just erase everything. Now the challenge with both of these approaches that I'm showing you, whether I'm using Ultimate Pen or I am using the PowerPoint feature, is that anything that you write won't actually stick, so to speak, on those slides. So let's say if I was over in here, let me get rid of my Ultimate Pen, and let's say we were over in here and we're making a couple of points along the screen, and I had drawn my x and y axis. Here's the x and here's the y axis, and I drew my lines along here, and I'm making my points as I go. Here's a little break-even point, and then I go on to the next slide. But let's say I want to go back, previous slide, all my annotations have actually disappeared. Where are they? They're all gone. So that's one of the disadvantages of using this type of a whiteboarding feature, using PowerPoint, or just free-forming something on the screen using other writing software such as Ultimate Pen. So for it to stick, what you actually might want to do is get another type of software, and there are many out there that you can use that are graphical type whiteboarding software. But one easy one that I've used before is something called Wondershare's PDF editor. So if I open this guy up, here's their website at wondershare.com. Now this is just one of many types of software. They do have a free trial, and for what I'm going to show you here, I think you actually have to be using the Pro version, and that's only for the Mac, although there are PC versions of this. But the point being, you'll probably want to export your PowerPoints or your graphics or whatever out to a PDF document. So one thing you might want to do is just go ahead and save off the document, or even just a one blank sheet of PowerPoint, one slide that is blank, and you just take all of that and do a save as, and save it in the version of PDF, right? So now you have a PDF version. I've actually already saved a copy of this. So then what you would do is you would open up software such as Wondershare's PDF editor that I just showed you, and then you open up your document in that type of an editor, and let's go ahead and maximize this out, bring it up a little bit more, and as you can see, I've you can move from one slide to the next and conduct your presentation that way. And the nice thing is, if you have a blank slide, you actually can use the tools that are embedded within the software and draw your lines, and even do some free form writing as well. So as we said, this was, for instance, the fixed cost line in this presentation that I was creating, and then from there we identified that there are different incremental changes that go along, and so I might then want to show that this is how the total cost line then gets built. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all of the details there for that presentation because that would be out of scope, but the idea here is to be able to use different pieces of software while also using the pen feature in PowerPoint, but you can also then save out to a PDF file and use blank slides to bring it into other software such as PDF Editor Pro. And the nice thing here by doing this is, if you notice, I'm going to go to the next slide here. Now if I go back one slide, my presentations stick, or my annotations stick. But the other one I also want to mention to you is the idea of using a what's called a Wacom tablet. It's spelled W-A-C, what is it? It's not that, it's W-A-C-O-M. It's a Wacom tablet, and I will see if I can bring up a picture of it for you here. But that's what it looks like. It's Wacom tablet, has a little nice pen and also a board that you can write on. So that can help out instead of just trying to do all of your annotations using the mouse. Actually, a Wacom tablet or something similar makes all of your annotations on these whiteboard a lot easier. Okay, so that's it for now. This is mel-aclaro. Hope things are going well for you, and if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments below. Take care.